G'day and welcome back to the Car Doctor channel. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by the shop. We appreciate the likes and subscriptions. Hey, today we're working on a 2000 Kia Spectra 1.8 liter dual overhead cam engine, and we're servicing the timing belt and water pump as a maintenance item. Considering that the required or recommended maintenance interval for the timing belt is 105,000 miles on this application, and we're slightly over that. We're going to do it to prevent imminent engine damage should the belt break. We've seen these belts break even at 90,000 miles and earlier, depending on the service, the type of service that the vehicle is subjected to, the temperature range, or the being super cold or super hot can cause the belt to prematurely fail. And once they do, this is an interference application. It's going to wipe out your valves. So I've convinced this customer to do some preemptive maintenance to prevent major engine damage and basically render this car pretty much to the scrap yard, given its value and the cost of repairs should he bend all the intake valves on this thing and the timing belt break. So anyway, we're going to do that today. And once again, thank you for stopping by the shop. It's Black Friday, and we're doing this doorbuster special, Kia water pumps and timing belts. This should apply to 98 through 2004 Kia Spectras and Sephias with the 1.8 dual overhead cam. This particular car has the power steering pump and does not have AC. So it'll be slightly different if your car is equipped with AC or whether or not it has power steering. Some had just a manual steering on it, or neither. So anyway, that'll just make a little bit of difference on removal of the belts before you get to that point. I've checked the serpentine belts. There's two of them in this case, and they both look favorable, so I'm going to just put the old belts back on, but replace the timing belt, water pump, idler and tensioner pulleys, and drain and refill the cooling system. So I'm going to start by raising the vehicle. I have a 2-post hoist, the vehicle supported on it. I'm going to raise it up and drain the coolant to get started. Let's get with this thing. Ethylene glycol-based coolants contain chemicals which can be harmful to both humans and animals, which could result in sickness or death. I'm going to pull the right front tire. Now I remove the plastic protective shield on the inner fender well to access the crankshaft pulley area. Now I lower the vehicle to access and remove both the power steering and alternator belts. Before I loosen the alternator belt, I'm going to loosen the 3 water pump pulley bolts to ease in removal. Now I remove the 2 power steering pump bracket bolts, including the adjuster bolt and the bolt to the bracket at the engine. Now I remove the bolts securing the upper timing cover to the cylinder head. Now remove the motor mount by removing the 2 nuts securing it to the engine block face and the bolt securing it to the right front strut tower area. Remove the lower timing cover bolt that's accessible from the top, and then raise the vehicle to access the balancer pulley and the remaining front cover bolts for removal. Now remove the main crankshaft pulley bolt located in the center of the crankshaft pulley, and then the 4 retaining bolts that secure the outer crankshaft pulley surface to the inner crankshaft gear. Once the crankshaft pulley has been removed, remove the timing belt washer that sits just inside of it, locating the orientation of the washer and the area that actually guides the timing belt. Now remove the 2 lower timing belt cover bolts. As we remove the timing belt covers, we've noticed that the timing belt itself has been replaced with an aftermarket Gates belt. This is not an original equipment belt. However, we noticed that the water pump was leaking and likely was not replaced, as it appears to be the original water pump. It's recommended that the water pump and timing belt be replaced at the 105,000 mile interval to avoid repeated repairs and unnecessary expense. Once the timing covers have been removed, we can align the timing marks located on both the crankshaft and camshaft gears. In this case, the exhaust camshaft gear is located on the front of the engine, or the exhaust side of the engine, and the intake camshaft gear located on the rear of the engine towards the intake side of the engine. In order to rotate the engine and properly align the timing marks, reinstall the crankshaft bolt and turn the engine over in a clockwise fashion until all the marks align. Pay close attention to the exhaust and intake gears as they are marked differently. Align the I mark on the intake camshaft at the rear of the vehicle and the E mark on the exhaust side of the engine at the front of the vehicle, with the camshaft aligning marks on the top of the valve cover area. That is at approximately the 12 o'clock position. Once the timing marks have been properly aligned, you can loosen the retaining bolt and compress the belt tensioner pulley, and then retighten the bolt so that the tension is released from the belt. Now you can remove the timing belt. After removing the timing belt, remove both the timing belt tensioner pulley assembly and the timing belt idler assembly. Now you can remove the oil dipstick tube by using a large chisel or regular screwdriver and a hammer and tapping in an upwards fashion. Remove the tube assembly and then plug the hole for the tube assembly so that when you remove the water pump, if any coolant runs out, it won't contaminate and go inside the oil. If you do happen to get coolant contamination in the oil, you will need to drain and change the oil at that time. Now you can access and remove the 7 water pump retaining bolts. Now remove any water pump gasket from the engine block surface and clean the surface and prepare the water pump for reinstallation. I'm using a small amount of super weather strip adhesive to adhere the new gasket to the replacement water pump and prepare it for installation. Now I install and torque the water pump bolts. I apply a small amount of blue Loctite to the idler pulley retainer bolt and install the timing belt idler pulley assembly and properly torque the bolt. Now prepare the tensioner assembly for replacement. Be sure to use a new replacement tensioner spring and pulley assembly by first inserting the replacement spring into the replacement pulley assembly properly, and then applying a small amount of blue Loctite to the retaining bolt and inserting it through the pulley assembly. Now carefully insert as you index the alignment hole through the water pump for the tensioner spring assembly, and then hand tighten the bolt. Now rotate the tensioner assembly up and counterclockwise and tighten the bolt. Once the belt has been properly installed and the timing marks are aligned, release the tension on the tensioner bolt, which allows the tension of the spring to tension the belt. Now turn the crankshaft 360 degrees in a clockwise rotation and retorque the timing belt tensioner bolt properly. Measure the deflection of the belt, as this is a critical adjustment. Consult your repair manual for proper deflection measurement. Now double check your timing marks, and then you can begin reassembly of the vehicle. Simply install the lower portion of the cover, install and torque the lower crankshaft pulley and bolts, reinstall your oil dipstick tube assembly by cleaning the bottom of the dipstick tube, applying a small bead of RTV silicone, and driving it in the proper location of the engine block. You may need to support the oil pan of the engine and lift it slightly to allow for reinstallation of the motor mount, reinstallation of the upper cover, then install your belts, properly torque, and you should be good to go. All right, that about wraps this one up. I did use the airlift cooling system refilling tool. I have a video for use of that tool, and I will put a link to that video in the description of this video. And I will wish you good luck with your repairs. Thanks again for watching, and have a good one.